Hey basketball guys, we have news. Let's go to more news from the Golden State Warriors, but before that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your like. Stephen Curry is a star recognized throughout the NBA and has stated several times that he wants one more championship before retiring. The Warriors have currently helped Stephen Curry very little, as the signings of Buddy Hield and Dennis Schroeder did not have the expected effect, and it will be necessary to sign players who have a greater impact and help Stephen Curry. Rumors: John Konchar would be the ideal player for the Warriors, because he is a great shooter. The Golden State Warriors are intrigued at the thought of acquiring an underutilized sharpshooter on the Memphis Grizzlies for bench depth this season. Forbes' Evan Sidery doubled down on a recent report he broke, stating that the Warriors are among several teams interested in Grizzlies shooting guard John Konchar. As I first reported earlier this week, John Konchar is drawing trade interest from the Celtics, Heat, Magic, Nets, Rockets, and Warriors, Sidery published on X on Thursday afternoon. Konchar is a great outside shooter for the Warriors to mull. Konchar is a 6-year NBA veteran who has played his entire career in Memphis. The 6'5", 210-pound off-guard is a highly effective three-point shooter who owns a 36.5% clip from outside for his career. He is currently drilling 46.2% of his looks from deep this season. The 2024-25 campaign also makes it the third time that Konchar has shot north of 40% from three in a campaign. Though he emerged in the Grizzlies' injury-riddled rotation in the previous 2 seasons, he's seen his minutes drop from roughly 21 minutes a night in that span to 12.3 mpg this time around. Credit: Petre Thomasimane Images. Thus, his shooting fabric fits Golden State's standard-setting mold. He also has a knack for collecting steals in accordance with his playing time, as he's averaged 0.8 SPG for his career in 17.7 mpg as well as 1.6 steals per 36 minutes. The fact that he can bring disruption in the passing lanes, size to the Warriors' backcourt, and a great ability to play fast and snipe while trailing on the break, makes him an interesting option for the Dubs to consider. Konchar is owed $6.16 million in each of the next 3 seasons, including the current campaign. Therefore, the Warriors could add a cost-effective option to their second unit without having to give up too much in return, should they opt to trade for him prior to the February 6 deadline. The morning after the ball dropped, the Warriors used part of their first practice of the new year to hold shooting competitions. Sometimes you just mix it up in practice, go away from your formula and do something different, head coach Steve Kerr said. That's what today was about. No one is expecting a light practice and fun shooting contests to be the antidote to Golden State's current slide. But they are apt, given how poorly they've shot the ball recently. In the Warriors' first 16 games, they shot 37.9% from behind the three-point arc. In their next 16, that number dipped to 33.8%, ranking 23rd in the NBA in that span. Perhaps the easiest way to explain how the Warriors can start 12-3 and then go 4-13 is simple shooting regression. You may have heard, it's a make-or-miss league. When the Warriors were rolling, they were hitting all sorts of shots and getting them from a variety of players. Since then, their gunners have shot blanks. That might seem like a convenient, simplistic excuse. But in many ways, it's reality. More. Buddy Hield, smoking hot to start the season, is in the midst of a brutal shooting slump. Dennis Schroeder, despite hitting a massive 3 against Phoenix, has shot well below his season averages since joining the team. Reserve three-point specialist Lindy Waters' 3 is down to 32% on the year. Even Steph Curry shot 40% overall and 36.2% from 3 in the month of December, well shy of the lofty standards he has established. I look at offensive flow, Kerr said. Are we getting good shots? Can we get better shots? You look at lineup combinations, who's playing with whom. Sometimes you just look at the emotional side of it, the psychological side of it. On the shot quality front, the Warriors have slipped slightly. In December, they generated 18.9 wide-open shots per game, as defined by field goal attempts with the nearest defender at least 6 feet away. That figure ranks 18th in the league and is too shy of their November performance. Losing DeAnthony Melton to a season-ending injury, and then trade for Schroeder, has been the biggest event of the season so far. He was one of few two-way players on the roster who could also be dynamic with the ball in his hands. Their defense was much better with Melton, which led to transition opportunities against backpedaling defenses. They played with more pace earlier in the season, which naturally lends itself to more open shots. "We're definitely shooting below expected," Kerr said. "That number is showing up consistently. But I think on the film too, there are times we're getting decent shots, not great shots. And when you're a Funk, you really need to get great shots." Knowing the Warriors don't have as much reliable perimeter shooters stationed on the perimeter, defenses have packed the paint and sent multiple defenders at Curry, inviting anyone else to beat them. The Warriors acquired Schroeder at least partially to address all of that. A pick-and-roll initiator, he's supposed to bring a different element to the offense while allowing Curry to operate off the ball more. Schroeder, though, has shot just 29.7% from the field as a Warrior, including 20.6% on threes. He's significantly less effective when defenders can comfortably go under screens against him without worrying about his outside shot. Hield, meanwhile, is mired in one of the worst shooting slumps of his 10-year career. He scored 0 and 2 points in his last 2 games and shot 2 for 21, 9.5%, from three-point land in the last 4 contests of the calendar year. It's the second worst 4-game shooting span of his career, better than only a 7% stretch in 2016. He looked completely lost against the Cavaliers, missing 2 point-blank layups along with all 3 of his threes. Hield is a bellwether. The Warriors are undefeated in games he scores at least 18 points, but are 3-11 when he scores in single digits. "Nothing has changed with Buddy," Jonathan Kuminga said. "No matter how bad or good he's shooting, his energy is there. And I feel like he's got that same mindset. It happens. We're all not perfect. Sometimes you make shots, sometimes you miss. One thing that sticks with Buddy is his joy. He came in today talking about how he got a new blicky. He was talking about how this past month, his blicky was trash. And he's happy, you know? Him not shooting well is not throwing him off at all." Kerr said he hasn't considered for a second decreasing Hield's minutes or role. He believes in Hield's track record as one of the game's most accurate shooters and needs to play him so he can find a rhythm. The head coach also wants to give this current, tightened rotation a runway to prove itself, with Schroeder starting and Kuminga leading second-unit groups as the featured option. Yet while Hield's confidence apparently isn't shaken, that isn't the case with everyone. "All these guys are human," Kerr said. "I know as a former player, it's really easy to get into a rut and beat yourself up or lose confidence. And that's all part of it, too." Warriors, Bulls suggested as potential Zion Williamson trade destinations. Zion Williamson could see himself in Golden State or Chicago. Since being relatively inactive for the New Orleans Pelicans this season, Zion Williamson has been involved in trade talks with the Golden State Warriors and the Chicago Bulls. After the Pelicans declared they would try to trade Brandon Ingram this season, it seems Williamson might be next on the list. However, both the Warriors and Bulls could use Williamson's talents, and for different reasons. Golden State has slipped in the Western Conference after a blazing start. They're sitting in the number 10 seed with a 16-16 record. Outside of Stephen Curry, the team doesn't have the second go-to scorer. Although Jonathan Kuminga has impressed, they need an established scorer, and Williamson is just that. For Chicago, they're in an opposite situation. They have a 15-18 and are 9th in the Eastern Conference. However, they'd been dealing with trade rumors of their own surrounding Zach LaVine. A trade scenario involving the two players could happen, according to an anonymous general manager via ESPN. "I bet Chicago would do that," the general manager said of a hypothetical deal built around swapping Williamson for LaVine. That general manager said he'd decline such an offer if he were running the Pelicans.